Hello there everybody, Bilbo10,000 here, bringing you guys a little video that some people have been requesting from me for a little while. Today I'm going to be talking about Kingdom Hearts 3, and this isn't necessarily going to be like a full-scale so I just finished review or anything. I just want to kind of get my thoughts on the game out there. I want to kind of discuss the story, I want to discuss the gameplay, I kind of want to just discuss this in an open forum situation where I can kind of just vent my thoughts without having to really razzle-dazzle them, because I'm going to make an official review for this game down the line, but I do want to get my thoughts on it because I've been seeing a lot of people going to both extremes for this game, some people praising it perfectly, saying it's the best game of all time, and others saying it's internet trash and you should never play it. And I kind of just want to get my thoughts out there because my overall opinion of this game is that it is a great game. It is one of the more fun Kingdom Hearts games, definitely in my top 3. Haven't really decided if it's going to be my favorite or not, but that it definitely has some flaws, and it's not a perfect game. There is no such thing as a perfect game, and it does bother me when a lot of reviewers say that this is a perfect, flawless masterpiece when it isn't, and it's okay that it isn't. It is allowed to have mistakes. Every game has a mistake somewhere, some more horrific than others, and Kingdom Hearts is just one of those games that obviously it's been anticipated for so long that I think a lot of people's expectations are so high that they want to believe that this is the best game ever, that they're in the honeymoon phase. And I think it'll take a little while before people start seeing some of the flaws in the game, but at the same time, oh, it's such a good game! Oh my god, I had so much fun with this one! Kingdom Hearts 3, brilliant game, and I'm just gonna tell you guys right now, if you have not played the game, I wouldn't recommend watching this video because I will be going into spoilers. I am going to be discussing story resolutions, I'm going to be discussing cutscenes, I'm going to be discussing worlds, gameplay, and this is a game best seen blind. However, there are a few misconceptions about Kingdom Hearts 3 that I would like to clear up. And firstly, is this a game that you should play if you have never played a Kingdom Hearts game before? I'm not really sure. I don't really recommend it if you've never played a Kingdom Hearts game because you're gonna be thrust in at the end of an entire series worth of story, and look, you can watch a YouTube video and you can catch up via someone's video essay on why there are so many Xehanorts, or why everyone is Xehanort, or why all these characters are just crying all the time, and why is everything just so damn emotional, and it's just, you know, I feel like for you to get the most out of this story, I think it is better to experience the past games for yourself and actually play them, because then you make an emotional connection with the characters from those games. For example, if I hadn't played Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep, which is a game starring Ven, Terra, and Aqua, 3 Keyblade wielders who have very tragic stories, if I had just watched a video on their story and I hadn't actually played the game and experienced their 3 campaigns for myself, I wouldn't be as close to the characters when it comes to seeing them again in Kingdom Hearts 3. I would probably, you know, I'd be interested in the resolution of their story, but it wouldn't hit me as much. Whereas, because I played their entire game, I experienced all 3 of their campaigns, I fought alongside them in a way. When it came to revealing what's going to happen to them in Kingdom Hearts 3, and when it gets to certain story moments, oh, it hit hard. It hit so damn hard. The only games that I could consider basically kind of breaking that rule are 358 over 2 days, and Recoded, because they're movies that were originally games, but the games were just not that good, so they ended up taking the cutscenes and creating a movie, and even then, Recoded isn't really worth the effort, but definitely watch 358 over 2 days if you can. It's about 2 to 3 hours long, and oh, the ice cream trio, please send help. Oh my god, okay. I just feel like if you're new to Kingdom Hearts, While the gameplay is definitely as accessible as it's ever been, in fact, I would say this is one of the easiest Kingdom Hearts games out there, and I was playing on standard mode, and it's pretty easy, but I heard that a lot of people say it's really easy on proud mode as well. You just have to grind a few extra levels, which is not that difficult in this game, let's be real. So, in reality, it is a very accessible, gameplay-wise Kingdom Hearts game. The mechanics are simple, you can kind of learn things as you go. The opening Olympus level really kind of teaches you everything you need to know. The problem is the story. Like, if you want to even understand this story, I just feel like playing the other games is probably a good idea. If you've got a PlayStation 4, you can buy the Story So Far collection. All the games are there. You have every single game that you need to catch up with. And hell, you could play some of the games and then maybe skip out on some others if you really, really, really want to. And I will admit that playing all of the games in the Kingdom Hearts franchise to catch up to 3 is a time sink. It took me a month to complete all of these games, and I have the time to complete them. For people who have to go to work every day, and people who have to go to school and can't play video games that much, it's obviously a bit of a time sink, and I would have recommended that you started playing them months ago so you could catch up. But nobody said you have to play Kingdom Hearts 3 right now. You can always leave it on the back burner. You don't have to play it the moment it comes out, although it would probably help if you wanted to avoid spoilers. Really, it just comes down to what you're comfortable with. If you want to watch a YouTube movie, catch up with the story that way, do that. I'm not gonna blame you, but just be aware that you might not be as connected to some of the characters simply because you haven't experienced some of the gameplay in the games, as well as a lot of references in Kingdom Hearts 3 will be lost on you, if you haven't played the previous games. So I'm gonna go into quick spoiler territory just to kind of explain what I mean there. Let's take the battle with Aqua and Vanitas, for example. So it's near the end of the game, you just got out of the Realm of Darkness, you've saved Aqua, I cried so fucking hard, and then you get to the Land of Departure, and Aqua gets to face off against Vanitas. This is a massive reference because not only are you playing as Aqua and using her skill set from Birth by Sleep and Fragmentary Passage, you are facing Vanitas, who is using the exact same moveset he uses in Birth by Sleep. Basically, this is just a massive repeat of the Aqua-Vanitas fights from Birth by Sleep, and that for me was just genuinely a special moment. Aqua was always my favorite of the Birth by Sleep trio, and getting to see her finally let loose and fight and showcase to Sora, Donald, and Goofy that she is a strong Keyblade master and she deserves the title was just glorious to watch. Not only that, but that was just one of my favorite sequences in the game. I mean, Venti Wenti, let's go, Venti Wenti. We get Ven waking up and just going, Aqua! His voice cracks, he runs towards her. I was sobbing. I was genuinely sobbing, and then Vanitas is like, yeet, I'm out. And then Sora and Ven look at each other, and Ven's like, oh wait, but you look just like Vanitas. Oh god, I'm having PTSD, and it's just great. And I love the last like 5 hours of this game. It is the best. But before we get to the rest of that, let's touch upon the gameplay of Kingdom Hearts 3. So as I mentioned before, it is the easiest-ish game in the series. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, it is a pretty simple game. You have a lot of combat options, and everything does a lot of damage. The combat was definitely made with horde battles in mind. You're fighting a lot of enemies all the time. It's rare that you get like one-on-one or one-on-two battles unless it's a boss fight, so you tend to be fighting a lot of crazy different enemies and taking them out. You have different commands. You have action commands that you can use, which are similar to the ones from Birth by Sleep, and I think Dream Drop Distance had them as well, where if you use a certain weapon or a certain Keyblade or you use certain magic, you will then get the power to use even more magic, and you can press triangle, use L2 to scroll through them, and it's really fun. You have a lot of different options. Your Keyblades can change forms, that's fun. If you do enough combos and land enough combos on an enemy, you can change your Keyblade's form, and you can then change your form even further to create even more fun, crazy weapons. Like you can turn your Keyblade into a hammer, you can turn your Keyblade into a giant spear, a yo-yo, claws. I mean, this game This game, you can have a Winnie the Pooh Keyblade that turns into a honey blaster, and you can shoot sticks of honey at all of the Heartless and kill them and destroy them, and it is, oh, it's so good. The battle system in this game is, without a doubt, one of the best it's ever been. You don't have to rely so much on blocking anymore, which I don't know if people are going to complain about that or they're going to be happy with that, but given how much blocking you had to do in Birth by Sleep, I'm pretty grateful they toned it down a little bit. Flow motion returns from Dream Drop Distance as well. I didn't really use flow motion all that much. I didn't really see it kind of come into the gameplay at all. Mostly I was just using air dashes and counters and just hacking and slashing my way through with all the different form changes that your Keyblades could have, which, you know, that's really all you need. You can also do team attacks with Donald and Goofy. With Donald, you have this really fun flare attack where you just set off rockets and they just start smashing into opponents. And with Goofy, you literally jump into the air and yeet him at the enemies, and it is just so satisfying to use. On top of these, sometimes an enemy will have a green target around them, and if you hit them, you can summon an attraction ability. Attraction abilities will summon Disney rides that you can use to help you turn the tides of a battle. You've got the carousel, which is like a rhythm-based mini-game of sorts, where you do more damage when you time your button presses well. You've got the pirate ship, where you just spin around and fire water everywhere. You've got the bumper car rocket blaster, which, oh, is probably one of my least favorite of the attraction rides, because you can fire a lot of shots on it and you can knock enemies into the air to get points, but you don't do that much damage and you're still kind of wide open to attacks when you use this mode, and it just takes a long time to deplete. Even after you use the finish attack, which should send you back to your normal form, you still have to wait like 2 or 3 seconds before this attraction will end, and that's a little bit annoying. I want to kind of get back into the battle, and that one, every time I saw it, I just skipped it. You also have the roller coaster, which appears in certain boss battles, only a few times in the game, but when you use it, you are basically shooting a cannon, and you are destroying enemies and bosses and everything in your way, and it is so satisfying and so much fun. Oh, and of course, how could I forget the teacups? The teacups are great. You get to spin around in teacups, slam into enemies. There's the water one, where you're in one of those, like, water ride rapid things, and you kind of have to move your way around, leaving a water trail, and when the attack finishes, your ride goes back along the water trail you created, and then creates a massive explosion at the end, and it is just glorious to watch. Attraction commands were really fun, and I'm glad that they did give you the option to actually skip the opening, so you could get straight into the action of the attractions, and that was really cool, but I didn't find myself using them all too much. Now, something I just didn't really dabble in at all were the D-Links. We have a return of D-Links from Birth by Sleep, only there are 5 of them this time, and they each represent a different Disney character. All of them were shown off pre-reveal for the game. We've got Stitch, we've got Ariel, we've got Simba, we have got Wreck-It Ralph, and we have a Dream Eater, the little cat Dream Eater from Dream Drop Distance, which was really cool. I really liked that. And the Meow Wow, that's what they were called. And yeah, the attractions were fun. I used them like once and then promptly forgot about them. It's not that they're useless, it's just that they take so much time to set up, and at that point you could just be using your magic or using your Keyblade transformations and killing enemies quicker. They just feel like they take away from the action of the game, and I've heard a lot of complaints specifically about the Wreck-It Ralph one, because apparently the Wreck-It Ralph link requires a lot of strategy to build. I never used it though, I just didn't really find a reason to. Like, if I'm being honest, the only one I actually used was Meow Wow. I mean, all the other ones, they just kind of were there. I didn't really want to dabble in them. They didn't seem that interesting. Of course, you've got your usual dodges and everything like that. You've got your counters, you've got your air dashes, you've got your slides, you've got your movement abilities. Fighting is fun, you have magic, you can upgrade your magic by progressing through the game, you have your shortcut system that is in like every Kingdom Hearts game. Once again, make sure to put Cure on X, otherwise you will have a bad time. And overall, it's just, the combat in this game is just so fluid, so perfect, so fun. A little easy, but so enjoyable. The enemy variety is actually really cool in this game as well, because you're not only fighting Heartless, but you're also fighting Nobodies, you're fighting the Unversed, and it's just really cool that you get so many different factions that you end up having to fight, and you meet all the different Organization 13 members along your way through the 7 Disney worlds, to the point where each world is kind of like it's got its own unique monsters that you have to fight. For example, in the Monsters, Inc. world, Vanitas is there, so of course you're going to be fighting the Unversed, and then if you're in the Frozen world, you see Larxene, so Nobodies are going to be a problem, same with Marluxia in the Tangled world, and it's just so much fun. There are so many different enemy types, and I really think they went above and beyond to really make some really cool looking Heartless. I really like the Heartless in the Frozen Land, I really like the Heartless in Tangled, I really like the Heartless in Monsters the Unversed in Monsters Inc. even. I just really liked a lot of the designs in this game, and a lot of the enemies as well. They were just absolutely brilliant, and I had so much fun. Just so much fun. The bosses as well. Even though some people may complain that the bosses don't feel as bombastic as maybe the second game, or even the first game, I actually think the bosses in this game were really fun. Like, they are bullet sponges, of course, like they can take a lot of damage, and they are really fun to fight, and it's just epic fighting these massive scale titans. Like with Olympus, you fight the titans from the movie, from the Hercules movie, which is really cool. And then in Toy Story, you get to fight this, I can't remember exactly what it is, but it's like this massive heartless creature. I think it can fly. I can't remember 100%. It's been a while. It's been about a week since I actually last played the game. But the frozen wolf, which kind of reminded me very much of the wolf boss at the end of Birth by Sleep's secret chapter, where Aqua's in the Dark World. That was really cool. I just feel like the bosses in this game really kind of stepped it up, and I feel like the thematic, the cinematics, the worlds in this game stepped it up. Actually, let me just say, everything in this game is a step up from what it used to be. The worlds go on for much longer. You've got 2-hour minimum worlds. I'd say the shortest world was probably the Big Hero 6 world, where you're exploring San Francisco, which is kind of ironic, given it's actually, like, the recommended last world you visit before you go to the end game, and it's the shortest world. But every single world has a lot to do. There's a lot of stuff to explore. There are Heartless to kill, environments to look at. They are absolutely massive. The Tangled world is just ginormous. The Toy Story world is full of charm. The Pirates of the Caribbean world is really cool, because if you've never really, like, dabbled in boat combat before and exploring the Caribbean, you can actually, like, just ride your boat, explore islands, search for treasure. You feel like an actual pirate, and it's just... I really like the world selection in this game. The only one that I had a problem with was Twilight Town, because they took away a lot of the locations that you could go to in Kingdom Hearts 2. You can't go to the clock tower, you can't go on the train, you can't even go to the secret hideout. Like, you're limited to the main kind of hub area, and then the forest with the mansion, and that's it. And I just feel like Twilight Town could have had a little bit more to do, aside from just being the place you go to when you want to see Winnie the Pooh, or when you want to go cook at Remy's, and even then you can do that from the world map, so meh. It's... the worlds in this game, though, are so good, and they last long enough that, despite the fact that I would say there aren't less worlds, actually, because thinking about Dream Drop Distance, they only had 7 worlds, if you don't include the final world, so I guess this is the same, like, length as Dream Drop. But the worlds are just massive, and there's so much to explore. They look amazing. The cutscenes in this game are beautiful. The Kingdom Hearts 3 engine, I had my doubts initially. I didn't know how the Disney characters and the Final Fantasy, not Final Fantasy, the Kingdom Hearts characters would look going into this, but man, they look so good. When you get to Arendelle, and they just decide to put the entire fucking Let It Go cutscene in, I just burst into laughter. It was just them basically showing, yeah, our engine's this good. And while obviously looking at the movie and then looking at the game, obviously the movie has more expressions, the game's is instantly better because they fixed Elsa's ponytail going through her arm. They bug fixed Let It Go. What the fuck? I just think this is just a really good game, and if you're a fan of Disney, and if you're a fan of Pixar, you're gonna really love this. I really love especially how specifically Toy Story, Monsters, Inc., and Big Hero 6, their worlds, are all actually somewhat sequels. They're not actually retellings of stories. In Toy Story, the world where Andy's toys and Andy is have been split up from Woody and the gang, and they are trapped there, and they meet Sora, and it turns out young Xehanort's being a dick, and we have to stop them, and we go to an entirely new location called Galaxy Toys, which is freaking amazing, one of my favorite worlds. Monsters, Inc. You get to see what happened to the factory after they moved to Laughter Power instead of Scream Power, and you've got Sully and Mike Wazowski playing with Boo, you have Monsters, Inc. characters kind of interacting with each other, you've got Sora helping them to kind of help their factory, Randall comes back and gets yeeted again. I mean, Big Hero 6, I have not watched Big Hero 6, so I don't think that world hit me as much as it's gonna hit some people, but well, at this point, you guys know it's a spoiler review. When you get to the end of that world, and you realize that like, obviously the Baymax you've been with the entire time is the second iteration, and this is happening after the first movie, and then fake Riku, replica Riku, ends up freaking bringing the original Baymax from Big Hero 6, like, to fight you guys, and you have to fight him, and they make you think for a second at the end that he'd killed him. But really, they have two Baymaxes now. I mean, oh my god, that must be really satisfying for fans of Big Hero 6. I just feel like that's officially canon now. I mean, Kingdom Hearts is officially canon in Big Hero 6 because it means the first Baymax can live, and that is what everybody wants, I'm sure. So, yeah, I really just loved how these worlds worked this time around. Something that I found really interesting was that each world had its own unique kind of ability that you could do, or this, like, a unique thing to it. Like, for example, Toy Story, you had the toy mechs that you could climb into and use to fight the Heartless, which were really helpful, really exciting, really fun, really loved it. Pirates of the Caribbean, you've got the boats, of course. Big Hero 6, you can just explore a sandbox city, and you've got Baymax with you as well, and that's really exciting. Tangled, it's like you're exploring a forest, but at the same time, you are getting help from Rapunzel and her hair, and you can use her hair to traverse obstacles, and that's really fun. Just each of the worlds has something that kind of makes them unique, and for me, that's just really cool, because it kind of makes every world feel different, and it doesn't make them feel samey, and these worlds feel lived in, they feel alive. The fact there are NPCs now is just amazing. I mean, look back at Birth by Sleep when you go to the Cinderella Ball, and it's literally Cinderella, the mother, or the godmother, or the whatever Madame Tremaine is, the two sisters, the ugly sisters, and then the prince and his butler. That's it. But when you arrive there, he's like, oh, the guests are all having fun and enjoying themselves, and there's just like nobody there. But now that is fixed. We have NPCs, which is great. It makes these worlds feel lived in, and that is brilliant, and that is amazing, and that is all I ever wanted, was just for like worlds like Tangled and worlds like Twilight Town to feel lived in, and to feel like people actually exist, and it's not just the main characters existing in one space and nobody else exists. I just think it's brilliant. I think that the strides they have made in this game are phenomenal. That being said, it's not a perfect game. As I mentioned, D-links are once again useless in combat, and combat is pretty easy. It does turn into press triangle to win, and I feel like even though I prefer this game's combat to Kingdom Hearts 2, I do feel like Kingdom Hearts 2 had more balanced combat, and it was certainly a harder game, which I can definitely appreciate. I think I prefer the drive forms from Kingdom Hearts 2. I kind of wish that they were back, or that something like those were back instead of just Keyblade changes. But there are just a lot of like nice quality of life changes that I'm not too mad. Now, something I haven't touched on gameplay-wise is the Gummi ship. The Gummi ship is back. I didn't dabble with it too much in my playthrough. I did a few run-and-gun rail sections, but for the most part, I just kind of flew to the next world because I'm more of a story person. I'm more invested in the story of Kingdom Hearts than I am in kind of collecting everything and doing all the optional stuff. Sue me, I enjoyed the story. Let me enjoy what I want, thank you, damn it. And the Gummi ship is the best it's ever been. I mean, there's no other way to say it. It is the best it has ever been. You have bosses you can fight. You have on-rail shooter sections you can fight. You can find upgrades to your Keyblades in space. You can open treasure spheres. You can go exploring. There are 3 massive galaxy locations for you to kind of just fly around in, and there is just so much freedom with the Gummi ship this time around that I just absolutely love it. I think it's really good. I can't wait to kind of go back into Kingdom Hearts 3 and give the Gummi ship more of a go, do some more of the Gummi ship missions, upgrade some more of my Keyblades, and just have a bit of fun because, honest to God, it is just so satisfying. Obviously, though, the Gummi ship customization menu, no. Can they just update it already? Because, like, yeah, if you get the blueprints and you use the pre-built blueprints for ships, I mean, that's what most people are probably going to do. But once again, if you go into the Gummi menu and you want to create your own ship, it is like defusing a time bomb. Super Butterbuns put it best in a Kingdom Hearts 1 for Beginners video, and it is a fucking time bomb. You go in that menu and you feel like you're gonna fucking explode from confusion because building Gummi ships is just not that intuitive, and I've never enjoyed it, and god damn it, I just, you can make some really cool things in there. I mean, you can do that, but at the same time, I just don't want to deal with that goddamn menu, and I feel like that's something they really could have fixed after so many years. It's one of those things that people always complained about, and yet it's the exact same thing this time around. I'll also point out that for some people who look at Kingdom Hearts from a very base perspective, there are a lot of people who are looking at Kingdom Hearts 3 and they're like, oh my god, I love Kingdom Hearts because it's Disney meets Final Fantasy, even though, to be quite frank, Final Fantasy itself has only ever been relevant in Kingdom Hearts 1, 2, and maybe Chain of Memories. In all the other games, I mean, Square has definitely been quite adamant in that they want to bring in other properties of theirs, but really, the Final Fantasy stuff was never that terribly important. Like, it was interesting in Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 because you had all these fun characters and you loved them and they were great, but I mean, Kingdom Hearts 3, there's not a single Final Fantasy character in this game, and I don't really blame Nomura for this. Y'all know that there was a very dramatic, turbulent set of directorial issues when it came to Final Fantasy 15, which Nomura was originally helming for quite some time, back when it was still a Final Fantasy 13 game, and, well, I don't know much about the situation myself, but I do know that while some people kind of blame Nomura for getting fired, it wasn't necessarily Nomura's fault. I know that a lot of people who are educated themselves on the situation know that Nomura is not necessarily at fault when he left for the Final Fantasy 15 project, and look, if he's got a really bad sort of rep with Final Fantasy right now, if he's just not feeling it because of how he was treated on the Final Fantasy 15 front, or something along those lines, can we really blame him for not really wanting to go the Final Fantasy route this time with Kingdom Hearts 3? I mean, Final Fantasy, once again, the last time it was majorly relevant was Kingdom Hearts 2, and how many games have we had since then? It's like, come on, we didn't have any, like, Final Fantasy representation in Dream Drop Distance. Nobody complained there. Probably because we had Neku from The World Ends With You, but still, I just feel like a lot of people have real double standards when it comes to, oh, my Final Fantasy! And it's like, there was never a Final Fantasy crossover. Like, maybe that was what it was for Kingdom Hearts 1, but the series has evolved into its own thing, and it should be allowed to evolve into its own thing. It should be able to stand on its own with its original cast, which is what this game was about. So I feel like the criticism of the lack of Final Fantasy characters, while I get it, some people really wanted to see conclusions to the Final Fantasy characters from 2 because there were still stories that needed to be fixed. Cloud, Sephiroth, and Tifa, for example. I feel like, at the same time, it's not something that can really condemn the game, and that's my personal opinion. So, I've gone over so much of the gameplay, but really, where this game has been controversial is the story. Now, in my opinion, and don't hate me for this, I loved a lot of the story. I don't know how I feel about how they wrapped up Xehanort's character, and I don't know how I feel about the final battle. So, first things first, let's kind of just get straight into, like, the early spoilers. Pretty much everything when you arrive at the Keyblade graveyard to right before Scala et Caelum, I loved. I loved everything in the Keyblade graveyard. That was 100% a highlight of my playthrough. A lot of people complaining about how, oh my god, I want to fight all the organization members one-on-one, but it's like, fighting them in, like, teams of 2 or teams of 3 is really cool. Because this means you are not only having to fight one of these guys, you're having to fight multiple of these guys. You're having to deal with multiple movesets, multiple enemies, and that was so damn cool. I mean, I loved the segment where you're fighting the organization members. It was probably one of my favorite parts in the game, not only because of all the story resolutions, but just because of just how awesome it was. I mean, the Xemnas, Ansem, young Xehanort fight, I mean, that was mind-blowing. And the music in all of these fights is also pure eye candy, pure ear candy, pure everything candy. It was amazing. It was perfect. It was brilliant. I loved it. I loved it all, and it was fun. And I like that we got all of these resolutions for all of these organization characters. Even Xemnas. Like, Ansem, you know, I've always felt for the guy because he's all about darkness and he's a heartless and whatever. Xemnas has always been a bit of a piece of shit. Like, of all the villains, he's the one that I'm like, I want to punch you the most. I mean, he kicked Xaon, for goddammit, but then he even gets a moment of redemption, and I'm like, are you kidding me? I don't want to feel for this guy. The only one who I didn't have any kind of, like, redemption for was young Xehanort, because even when he's dying, he's still taking the piss out of Sora, and he's like, you're still gonna die, fuck you. I mean, I know Woody said that nobody loved him, but holy shit, I mean, young Xehanort, please. And that's something, I forgot to mention that, oh my god. All the Disney and Pixar characters shading the organization. Holy shit. Woody literally walking up to young Xehanort and saying, has nobody ever loved you? I mean, holy fuck. Woody, calm down with your sick burns. Or when Jack Sparrow just walks up to Luxord and just kind of looks at him, breathes in his face, and the stench of his breath caused Luxord to fall into the maelstrom in the pirate's world. Or when Vanitas is about to kind of attack Sora at the end of Monsters, Inc., and then Sully just comes up behind him, grabs him, yeets him through a door, grabs the door, yeets that door through another door, and that door through another. Oh my god. The way that these characters interact, and the fact that finally, after so many games, Disney and Square Enix are not afraid to let these characters, these established Disney and Pixar characters, interact with the original Kingdom Hearts characters, that's brilliant. That's something I think we have wanted for so long. And I'm so glad, because usually what happens is you'll wrap up the story of a world in, like, all the older games, and then the organization member or the evil person will appear and be like, haha, this is fun, this is what's going on, and I'm going to ignore the fact that there were Disney and Pixar characters, and I'm going to talk to you, Sora, and they're not going to know we're here, and when there are Heartless fights, you usually don't have other party members, like, you know, like Woody and Buzz, they suddenly get to actually experience boss fights, and the Disney and Pixar characters actually get to really, really full-on immerse themselves in the story of Kingdom Hearts with us. I mean, it's great. I just feel like this game took a lot of strides and a lot of steps forward that I really loved. I mean, the fact you can have 5 party members, come on, 5 party members, guys, that's amazing. That means you don't ever have to swap anyone out. You will always have all the party members you want, which means you can have so many fun moves that you can do. And I know I'm going away from, like, the story stuff because I'm just remembering more gameplay stuff. The party members' team attacks are actually good this time. Like, I don't feel like not using them. I actually like using them. Jack Sparrow's move, where him and Sora are kind of in a circle and slashing away with their swords, is really good during boss fights. And the scaring one in Monsters, Inc., where you scare them and you use Mike as a bowling ball, that one is great. The rocket from Toy Story is brilliant. Riding the abominable snowman in Arendelle is just, yes, I mean, this game does so much well and I love it. Oh, I do love it. I really love this game. It's so good. It is so good. But there are a few little gameplay issues I want to quickly bring up that I've just remembered. Firstly, there is an option to turn off experience gains, and it's not really what you expect, because difficulty in this game is a little bit different in that the Keyblade just starts doing chip damage the further you get in, and it starts to feel less like you're doing a level 1 run in Kingdom Hearts, and more like you're using a broken sword in Dark Souls trying to kill one of the toughest bosses ever. That's like a similar feeling to what you get when you're using a Keyblade when you don't have any experience. And I just feel like the leveling system and the way that the difficulty curves and just the way that the stats work in this game don't really lend themselves to that turning off EXP mode. It really doesn't, and I feel like that is something that they could probably rectify in a patch, maybe make it so that as you play through the game, it's not just chip damage, but your Keyblade still scales somewhat as you progress, you know? It's just how I feel, at least, and I don't... I think you know what I'm trying to say. I think people who have played Kingdom Hearts, you know what I'm trying to say here. You understand. Okay. So back to the story. So as I said, the last like 4 or 5 hours are just some of my favorite parts of Kingdom Hearts 3. I mean, you get to the Keyblade graveyard, you have this massive Heartless fight, you summon the train, and then everyone fucking dies. And you are left in the final world. You meet Chirithy from, I think, from the mobile game, who is actually Ventus's friend, who is waiting for Ven. And you're basically told, go and save yourself. Go and find all your pieces. You have to find 111 Soras, and then you can go back to the real world. Before you find the 111 Soras, you have to find a few Soras in like a little bit, and there'll be some stars. Something I didn't know is that in this segment with the stars, there are 2 stars specifically that will give you cutscenes, and I did not know that, and I missed both of them. One of them is with an unknown woman that I didn't recognize. I think she might have been from the mobile game, I'm not sure. The second, though, was Naminé, and she literally says, oh yeah, I've been in contact with Terra. I'm gonna try and get in contact with Terra back in the real world, and he's gonna maybe try and help you on your next go-around. And then, when you revive yourself, and you get back to the real world, Lingering Will shows up, and it's like, oh, that's why Lingering Will showed up, because when I played the game, I missed Naminé's cutscene, so I didn't know why Lingering Will showed up. I thought it was just random. And I thought it was just like, oh, let's just chuck him in here and then he's gone. I mean, that doesn't change the fact that Lingering Will fucking vanishes after that cutscene and is never seen again. But even so, like, had I seen that cutscene with Naminé, that moment would have been a bit more fun. And I feel like the fact that I could just miss those cutscenes with Naminé and this mysterious woman so easily, I feel like is a bit of bad game design. I'm not gonna lie. I don't think it was that particularly brilliant. On top of that, oh, the moment where all of your teammates' hearts are gone and you have to save them. Oh boy, that was my love. Like, thematically, great moment, great part of the game, but the gameplay was atrocious because the Lich was one of the worst Heartless I've ever had the pleasure of fighting. We have to fight him, what, like 6 times? And each time he just gets even more annoying with his ability to kind of shift out of the way and leave bomb doubles where he is. And can I not, like the Corona level, where he's in the bog and he will shoot the lightning at you and it will affect your menu and zap you whenever you're trying to select attacks. I got so pissed off, I wanted to just quit there and then. Because of that stupid ass fucking battle with that Lich, and that Lich is just not fun. It's not a fun fight. It's not a fun enemy. It's not fun to fight. It's not cool, not interesting. And when you get transported to all the big arenas and you're kind of having to chase it down, it's like, no, I don't want to do that. It's not fun. And then you have all the little mooks going around that target you accidentally start targeting as well, and then you get blown up by another after image, and it's just... When I was done with that Lich segment, I never wanted to repeat it again. And that's like, if I ever play Kingdom Hearts 3 again full through, which I probably will one day, like, that, I don't ever want to do that again. That was like my least favorite segment, really. And then you get back, everyone's alive. Kairi was apparently, like, keeping you alive with her light, because she is still one of the Maidens of Light. She is still a Princess of Heart. She never gave up that power, which is interesting. Fun little plot fact there. Then we get the Lingering Will moment, and then... Oh boy. Oh boy. Everyone's surrounded by Heartless. Everybody concerned. There is a massive Heartless tornado. And then Sora just calls on the fucking mobile game, and the power of Samsung, Android, and Apple flows through him, and he just starts using the Keyblades of all the different users from the mobile game, and oh wow, I freaked out. I didn't recognize who Ephema was at the time. I didn't realize that. I thought it was young Xehanort again, because he had white hair, and I just didn't put two and two together until, like, after the fact. But when you're, like, riding Keyblades and shooting Starlight at all of these creatures and just kind of just fucking these Heartless over with your powers, your power to mash triangle, it was just an amazing moment. I had a lot of fun with that, and I think that was a really good payoff for the mobile game. And I was like, oh, so that's why back cover was something we had to watch for this game. That's why. Okay, I get it. I understand. That's cool. And then after that, arguably the best fucking moment prior to the organization fights happens, where fucking Yen Sid comes down, Mr. Disney parts the Red Sea like Moses, just comes in, bam, light everywhere, parts the oceans, like, go my champions of light, go! And then Donald and Goofy are like, you know what, we'll stick with him, because, like, we don't have Keyblades, we can't really fucking help anymore, but it's okay, we'll stay with Master Disney. And, like, Yen Sid finally, after how many games, getting up from behind the desk. I imagine everyone had the same reaction as me, like, just, holy shit, he did that. This happened. And then we get to the organization fights, and every single fight was an emotional roller coaster. However, if I had to rank the fights, not including the final fight with Xehanort, Xemnas, and young Xehanort, because I don't really want to... Because that one is like, you know, you get to that one at the end anyway. That one's always meant to be the most climactic one. If I had to rank the fights, I would say that it goes the Luxord fight with Larxene and Marluxia, the Xigbar fight with Xigbar and the fake Riku, then the Birth by Sleep fight with Vanitas and Terra, and then the fight with Saïx. That's the last one there. So let's just go through in that order then. The Organization 13 fight with Luxord, Marluxia, Larxene, that one was really fun. Mickey obviously getting captured in a card. I really came to respect Luxord in this game. I'm not gonna lie. There are a lot of Organization members I came to respect in this game. Ienzo, and even Evan. Fucking Vexen. I did not realize I would ever come to like him. I thought even when he had turned to the good side, he was just gonna turn around and say, lol, I'm still bad. But no, he actually atoned, and he has my full respect for that. Can I just say that? Vexen was my least favorite Organization member going into this, because I still remember how many fucking times he beat my ass up in Chain of Memories. But it's okay, because everything is alright now. Everything is okay. But yeah, that was a really fun an I really enjoyed the Luxord fight, and Luxord especially was probably like the one character that I was looking forward to resolving my issues with, because he is an honorable guy, and I really hope that Luxord's somebody makes an appearance in a future game, because I would like for him to still be alive. I would like to go out and have a little gamble with him, you know, because he's a cool guy. Marluxia and Larxene, I can't say I really gave two shits. I cared more about Larxene than I did about Marluxia because I don't like Marluxia because I'm still bitter from Chain of Memories, even though Sora can't necessarily remember, and he is a bit of a sociopath, and I mean, like, he felt at the end, and just... I wasn't that really invested in Marluxia. Larxene, more so, I was more interested in kind of her motivations, and I do hope these characters do reappear at some point, if only because I feel like there's still some unresolved conflict going on with them. And that would be really cool, but hopefully maybe their somebodies will appear. That would be a bit more interesting. So then you have the Xigbar and the fake Riku fight, and it's revealed the fake Riku is not when Ansem possessed Riku, but it is instead the fake Riku replica from Chain of Memories, which Riku has also been carrying with him, by the way. That was crazy. That was a twist I wasn't expecting. I mean, I still don't actually get why Riku has the Chain of Memories replica inside of him. I didn't really understand that too much. So if anyone wants to explain that one down in the comments, that would be nice. But I really like that moment where Fiku and Fiku clashed, and the fake replica Riku gave up that body so that Namine would have a vessel. That was a really beautiful moment, and I just found that really touching, and that was really cool. And of course Xigbar. I mean, oh, Xigbar, we'll get to you later, but he's always been one of my favorite organization members. He's appeared in more games, I think, than the rest of the organization, and of the original Organization 13, I think aside from Xemnas and Axel and, you know, Roxas, Xeon and all that, I think he is, like, the most important of the group. Like, he is the one that you look at, he is the important one, and he's always had such a cavalier attitude about everything, so it's very interesting when you watch the secret movie at the end, and oh my god, ah! Okay, but yeah, that was really fun. I really liked when he just kind of, like, drops off the top of a roof, and it's just like, well, peace! And then we get to the two fights that I have been waiting for. For those of you that know me, you know that I have been waiting for the Birth by Sleep trio and the Sea Salt Ice Cream trio to get back together, because ever since the cover art was revealed and literally you have all the major protagonists from the series on there, I kind of knew they were going to bring everyone back. You knew. Like, let's be real. Story beats, you knew that Aqua was going to be rescued from the world of darkness. You knew Ven was going to wake up. You knew that Terra, Xeon, and Roxas were somehow going to be revived in some way. Same with Namine. But how they did it, oh my god! Let's start with the Birth by Sleep trio, which was the one that I thought was going to hit me the hardest, because I was more invested in them. Turns out, they actually hit me the second hardest. I was more invested in the Sea Salt Ice Cream guys, and I didn't realize that until it happened. But the Birth by Sleep trio... oh, you get there. Vanitas and... Terranaut. You fight Vanitas, you knock him out, Ven and Sora are kind of like having a little shouting match. Sora finally gets to see that Vanitas looks like him, and Ven gets to finally speak up for himself, which is really nice, and that was a beautiful moment. But Terranaut, when you beat him, and he gets those chains out, and he starts chucking people around with his comically evil Saturday morning cartoon villain voice, and he's just chucking them up, lifting them around, throwing them everywhere, and then it just does a close-up on Ven, and he just goes, Terra, I kept my promise. And I'm just like, oh, Ven! Because, look, I had already been fucking crying at that point, because Ven and Aqua already, like, when Aqua goes back to the Realm of Light after being in the darkness, and she's like, when did the Destiny Islands fall to darkness? And then Riku's like, you're in the Realm of Light, and she starts, like, a tear streams down her cheek. I'm just like, ah! And then when Ven comes back to life, and he's like, Aqua! I've mentioned this earlier, and I was like, ah! So then when Terranaut happens, and Ven is really sad, and I'm like, they're not actually going to do this, are they? They're not actually going to hurt Ven. They're Venti-Wenti and Aqua. They're not going to... Where's Terra? Where's Lingering Will? I was expecting Lingering Will to show up, because we'd seen Lingering Will earlier on. He just vanishes, though. Instead, we get the biggest fucking reveal in that Terra was not, in fact, Lingering Will. That was his will. It wasn't his heart. His heart was the fucking dark, heartless guardian that has been behind Terranaut the entire time. And the reason why he couldn't reveal that was because he had the straps around his mouth, so he couldn't speak. So you get this dark guardian protecting protecting Ven and Aqua, and then he just kind of rips off the bandage after holding Terranaut by the head, might I add, and it just reveals, I will return to this land. I will return to this land and protect my friends. And I'm like, Terra! Oh my god! How did nobody figure out that he was the Heartless behind Terranaut? I didn't realize this, and I'm fucking shook. I mean, holy fuck. This happens, and then Sora's like, Terra! And he points the Keyblade at Terra, shoots it, and then Terra gets his body back, and I'm just like, oh, my feels. I'm actually getting emotional thinking about it right now, Jesus Christ. It's just a really sad moment. So Terra just runs back over to Aqua and Ven, and he's like, Aqua, Ven, and then Aqua, you know, she's been burned by Terra before. She has seen him possessed so many times that she's like, is it really him? And she's like, Terra, is it really you? And he's like, yeah. You never stop lighting my way back, Aqua. And I'm like, ah! And then Ven is like, you're here. And then Terra looks at Ven, and you can see he's crying, and his eyes are red and puffy. And, and then they're just like, you found me, thank you. And I'm broken. Like, at that point, I'm broken, because I just wanted these kids to be happy. And then they were happy, and I was just like, I'm just glad they were happy. And I thought that was going to hit me the hardest, because I had been waiting for their resolution more so than the Sea Salt Trio. But I think what happened wasn't necessarily that their reveal didn't hit me hardest. It was that their story resolutions were more paced out. We had Aqua saved very early on in the final act. We had Ventus saved early on in the final act, and then we got a moment of downtime where, oh, I forgot, where Kairi and Sora shared a fucking Pow fruit. Can I just point that one out? They shared the fucking fruit. I mean, that's like marriage, basically. But yeah, we kind of got the Terra reveal way later than the Aqua Ven reveal, and I think why that hit me less than the Sea Salt Trio is because the Sea Salt Trio reveal all happened in one fell fucking swoop. So, let's discuss the part of the game that made me cry so much I had to pause the game and actually take about 5 minutes to compose myself, because you get to Axel and Kairi, who's actually fighting. Kairi doing more work than she's ever done in any of the cutscenes in this game, because they did Kairi fucking dirty, but we'll get to that. We'll get to Nomura and his inability to write a female character. But, oh my god. Kairi and Axel fighting Syx and Xemnas, and just, and a secret hooded figure. Who could it be? Who could it be? There's just this moment where you kind of join in the fight, and you're starting to fight, and you're starting to fight back, and then we kind of get beat up. We don't really do too well. Xemnas appears and basically Triangle X's Axel after Axel starts being really meta, because Axel for some reason is extremely meta in this game, and he just kind of like, I feel like he's gonna break the fourth wall and just look at us. I mean, he's like, don't you know how popular I am? Nobody axes Axel. And I'm just like, Axel, please stop hurting me like this. And then his Keyblade gets broken. Great. Then Kairi gets kidnapped, by the way. She gets taken away, becomes the damsel in distress again after you think, oh, she's actually gonna do some work. Nope. You thought Kairi was actually gonna do something this game? Funny. Fuck you. But then, oh my god, the best moment. When Xemnas is going up to Axel and he's like, I will purge your light and fill it with darkness. And then the hand. The hooded figure grabs Xemnas' lightsaber, and it's just like, we need him alive, you know that. And he's like, we only need his soul, not his heart. Oh, but you're friends. You were friends in a past life. You kill him then. And then she raises her Kingdom Key Keyblade. And at this point, if you haven't figured out, it's Xaon. It's Xaon. Because Sora literally comes in, grabs the Keyblade, is like, you don't have to do this. And then she kind of goes a bit crazy because, like, I don't think she's ever met Sora. And he's got, like, a Keyblade. She's got a Keyblade, and she's like, get away, get away. And Sora's just blocking, and he's like, it's alright. And something I didn't notice until a repeat watch was that Sora was crying at that point as Xaon was striking the Keyblade because he was feeling Roxas's pain. And he's like, it's alright, you can stop now. It's alright, Xaon. And then, oh... I broke down. I broke down at that point. I just started crying. I wish I'd recorded my reaction because it was beautiful. I was just ugly crying because then Xaon just like starts having a bit of a headache and she's just kind of like, ah, and then Xemnas is like, just comes up and is like, useless puppet, kicks her, punt kicks her, her hood comes off revealing Xaon, and I'm just like, first things first, holy shit, it's Xaon. Secondly though, and this is one of the like little story bits that I had a problem with, how did she come back? Didn't she like get erased from existence so everyone should have forgotten her? I don't think Xemnas forgot about her, I don't know why, but like, by all intents and purposes, I don't think she should have come back through them, especially when it was mentioned a lot in the game that she was inside Sora's heart still. I don't know, you know, I don't really, I feel like that wasn't resolved too terribly well, but I didn't really care because Xaon was back! And then Axel sees Xaon and then has that moment where he remembers her, like it clicked and he's like, Xaon! And then the best moment of the fucking game happened, I swear to God. Xaon is about to get killed, and then you see a bundle of light come up from Sora, go into the sky, and then something just crashes down, and dust, and then you just hear, get away from my friends, and... oh my god, the Roxas reveal was fucking amazing. Easily one of the best paced moments, best paced scenes in this game. The music was swelling up. You get Roxas's theme as it turns, shows his face. Axel's like, Roxas. Xaon's like, Roxas. Sora's like, Roxas, and then you get to fight with Roxas and Xaon! Like, you get to fight with Roxas and Xaon against Cyax, and the battle music is like a mix of Roxas's theme and Xaon's theme, and it is easily one of the best fucking music tracks in this goddamn game, if not the best, and Roxas, my boy, I'm so happy you're back. I didn't realize how much I had missed him, but I think because I had a connection with him in Kingdom Hearts 2, it just hit. It hit so hard. It hit so much. And then, once you beat Cyax, he vanishes. They have an emotional moment with Lee, and they mention this girl, who I think is going to come up in a future game. I think they were setting up a plot point there, so I'm not going to go into that too much. And then Lee and Axel finally make up. Not Lee and Axel. Lee and Isa finally make up, and Isa vanishes. And it is revealed at the end that he did indeed live. He became a somebody again, which is really nice. And then you just have that moment where Sora's like gotta run, and then you just hear Xaon crying, and the two turn. And Axel's like, guess I should have brought some ice cream. And then they just like, they smile at him, and then Axel starts crying, and then Roxas starts crying, Xaon's already crying, and they're just hugging, and I'm crying now thinking, I'm still crying thinking about it. It's too soon. It's too soon. It's too soon. So then you get to the final battle with Xemnas, young Xehanort, and Ansem, and fucking Kairi dies. Like, you beat them. And yeah, whatever, you beat them. It's a great battle, like, really good. They work really well together. And then Kairi fucking dies. Like, they fucking kill Kairi. She's fucking dead. Like, she shatters into pieces. She's fucking dead. And it's just this horrible moment where Sora's just like, why her? And Sora goes through so much shit in this game. He really grows as a character in this game. He is not the goofball that was from the original games. He is a mature goofball now. He's like grown up. He is a full pint, but he needs his half pints. And there's just that moment where Xehanort opens Kingdom Hearts, and everyone comes together. You get Roxas and Ven looking at each other for a moment, like, what the fuck? Why are we here? What the fuck? He looks like me. And then you just get that, the moment where everyone's kind of talking about what to do, and Xaon's like, Kairi will be fine. I can feel it, because she was made up of Sora's memories of Kairi, so I guess she probably has some sort of a connection to them. And it was just great. It really was just great. Like, it was a great final moment. However, and I might get a bit of hate for this, I didn't necessarily enjoy the final battle of the game. Scarlet at Kylum was a really cool location, revealed in a story trailer at the very final moments of like the final trailer for Kingdom Hearts 3. And I thought it would be this place we get to explore, I thought we get to look around, we get to climb the city. No, save point, and then final battle, and the design that Xehanort has in this final battle was kind of terrifying, at least with the armor. I feel like after coming from, like, Xemnas in Kingdom Hearts 2, which I don't think can be topped in terms of a final battle, because there were so many phases, so many battles, so many different, like, fights. I feel like Kingdom Hearts 3 by comparison was a little bit weak, if I'm being completely honest. Like, I liked the final phase with Xehanort, where you're fighting in the sky, and you're on the symbols, and Xehanort takes your light, and he's firing at you through keyholes, and he's using the Keyblade, the Keyblade, or whatever it's called. And that was fun. I just didn't really like everything building up to it. Like, the underwater part, that can go fuck itself, because you just don't have much to do underwater. Like, there's not much in terms of magic or abilities you can do. It just felt like it was there because they had underwater combat and they needed to shoehorn that in somehow. And overall, I just wish that there was more to it. I just feel like that area only existing for a boss fight, for me, it just felt a little bit weak, in my opinion. And I don't know how others feel about it. I didn't really feel like it was a final battle. I was hoping there was more beyond it. But for what it is, I can accept that. The ending, however, I don't know how I feel. Firstly, they tried to humanize Xehanort and they tried to make you feel for him. The problem is that this is a character who has effectively been irredeemable for the majority of the game. He's like, I want to be the leader and press the reset button so that this world can go back to how it used to be, so that we can all be happy and start a new world with no darkness. And it's like, yeah, but you ruined the lives of 3 Keyblade wielders, you probably killed a lot of people, you've trampled on a lot of people, you've manipulated a lot of people, and it's just kind of like, dude, no, you are not made for this. And I feel like while, yeah, you can humanize Xehanort, and it was nice having that moment where Ericus reappears and he was inside Terra's heart. He basically did a Kairi from Kingdom Hearts 1 with Terra, and he appears and he kind of like calms Xehanort down. It's just like, checkmate. This is all about gay chess, by the way. The entire game was just a game of gay chess, and then they rise into the heavens together. I don't know. Like, it was nice that we got Mark Hamill back for a little bit, and he got a nice moment to apologize to his students, but I just feel like the Xehanort thing, I just feel like, given how fucking evil Xehanort has been through this entire series, how messed up he has been through this entire series, he got off so fucking easy. Like, he just got to go to heaven and fuck right off. He got to go to the final world and leave. And it's just like, I really feel like he got off so scot-free. I just didn't really like that resolution. It just didn't feel final. And I guess the other thing I was disappointed at, and this was mainly just kind of me being slightly disappointed, is that because Kairi was dead, we didn't get any scene where all the trios were together, like the Disney trio, the Destiny Islands trio, the Sea Salt trio, and the Birth by Sleep trio. We didn't get a scene of all 12 of them together at all, because Kairi was dead. We had everyone else, and we're not including Namine, of course. We had everyone else, but no, Kairi was dead, and that makes me really sad, because I really wanted a scene where everyone would be standing next to each other, and it would be really epic, and then I'd be able to make it my wallpaper, but no, we can't do that, can't have that. Fuck you, you're not allowed that. Go somewhere else. And that was just a bit sad, you know. It was a bit disappointing. But overall, the weirdest part of the ending was when Sora has to leave because he's like, Kairi might still be out there. I need to go and save her. And Mickey's like, but you might not come back. And I won't lie, I was a little bit lost at this point. Like, I didn't realize that he could use the power of waking to just kind of chase Kairi's heart and get her back. But then the ending happened. Then the final, real ending happened. And you get the sequences of all the characters being happy. The Disney characters back in Disney Town. You had the Birth by Sleep trio putting their wayfinders on Master Ericus's grave. And then Chirithy comes out and gets to be with Ven, which is really nice. Because it's implied that Ven in the mobile game is actually just Ven's consciousness while he's asleep in reality. And that's why Ven is in the mobile game and also here at the same time. Like, the Ven in the mobile game did not come first. I think that's what I'm trying to say. And then obviously we get the Clock Tower trio, followed by Cyax, followed by the Twilight Town kids. And it's like, there are 7 kids sitting on this Clock Tower, eating ice cream. Like, come on. That's a health violation. Someone's gonna fucking fall at some point. Roxas fell in 358 over 2 days, and yet they still kept him up there. Like, damn. Like, just damn. And then we get that moment when Naminé finally wakes up, and I was really happy. And I guess Naminé waking up is probably why I was sure that Kairi came back, because Naminé was in Kairi's heart, and I feel like that was the only way they could wake her up, was if Kairi was alive. So that implies that Kairi definitely came back. And we get this lovely beach scene, everyone's hanging out, like, all the groups are together. It's really weird, though, seeing Terra just running across the beach with some other people. That was just weird, because he seems always, like, so serious. So just seeing all of them kind of having fun and relaxing, seeing Naminé and Xaon just kind of, like, picking up shells, it was adorable. And then everyone looks, and Sora and Kairi are sitting by the Pow Pow tree, and they're looking into each other's eyes. And Kairi is crying, and everyone is like, yes! Sora, you did it! You're alive! You're here! I'm so happy! And then that final fucking camera shot as Sora fades from existence, gets Thanos snapped out of fucking existence. And everyone's smiles drop, and they're just like, what the fuck? And that's just that ending. I mean, I understand why they did that, because obviously we need a reason for the 4th game to happen, and I think it might make sense if perhaps the next game in the Kingdom Hearts series, whether it's a spin-off or a Kingdom Hearts 4, is going to be Sora maybe trying to figure out how to get back to everyone, and like, where is he now? What happened to him? Because we know he's alive thanks to one of the secret movies, which is good, and Riku as well, and apparently he's in Shibuya, and it looks very much like the Shibuya from The World Ends With You, so we might be seeing Neku and Omnipotent Ellen DeGeneres again, which is exciting. We even see fucking Yozora, I think his name is, from Virum Rex, which was a bit crazy, and I think the Master of Masters as well, which was really fun. So I'm excited to see what that is. And then you get the secret ending, like the secret epilogue, where you have the foretellers from back cover come in, and Lushu is standing there with the box that Maleficent and Pete had been after the entire game, and they got forgotten. Like, a lot of characters got forgotten in this game. That's worth noting. Like, a lot of storylines that people thought, oh, they might be resolved in this game. Nope, they're gonna get resolved in a future game. Just you watch. So there's just this moment, this lovely moment where Lushu talks, and then you recognize the voice distantly, and then Lushu takes off his hood, and it's fucking Xigbar, and it's like, what? I mean, I always knew that he was the most important member of the organization outside of, like, Xemnas for a reason, and to reveal that he was in fact Lushu, and that his role was probably basically to wait for someone to reenact the Keyblade War, and he's had to wait for so fucking long for this to happen, and at this point he's just like, fucking, I'm just done with everything, I did my role, woo, I can relax now. It's just kind of like, oh, what does this mean? I think what it does mean is that the Master of Masters is probably going to be a villain coming up soon, and maybe we'll be fighting Xigbar again sometime. Or we'll be teaming up with him. Who knows? But The story in Kingdom Hearts 3, I think the real issue with it, and it's not necessarily a big issue, it's just, I feel like, for what it was, I don't think it wrapped up the Xehanort saga, the Dark Seeker saga, in a way that I was terribly comfortable with. Like, there are so many plot threads that they added in that are clearly meant to be for, like, a sequel, that it made some parts of this feel a bit confusing and just a little bit nonsensical. Like, there are a lot of, like, throwaway lines where it's kind of like, Larxene, Marluxia, and the other two, Demyx, I think, and I don't remember who the other one was. I think Luxord, like, oh, you were old Keyblade wielders or something, and it's like, what does this mean? And then there's the girl that Sykes and Axel keep mentioning, and it's like, what does this mean? And it's like, there are just so many, like, extra plot holes, and it's like, I can understand adding one or two little plot threads so that you know the story is continuing, and we know this is gonna be, this isn't the last Kingdom Hearts game, this is just the resolution of this saga, but, you know, they added so many plot threads that it kind of felt a bit messy. You know, it kind of felt like the pacing of the story wasn't that good. And the pacing of the story really wasn't that good. Like, everything happened in the last, like, 5 hours of the game. And honestly, I'm used to it from Kingdom Hearts at this point, but that doesn't mean it's not a complaint. It is a complaint because I've been making it, like, for pretty much every game. Like, you get sequences where you chat with organization members in the worlds, but the fact is, because the worlds are so big, and because you're just going from world to world, the Disney worlds and stuff, it just kind of feels like, eh. Also, there's not a lot of post-game content. You've got lucky emblems you can find, you have a few mini-games you can do, but super bosses? There ain't that many. Like, there really isn't a lot of post-game content, and for Kingdom Hearts, that's surprising. That being said, a lot of the game's Kingdom Hearts post-game content came in the final mix editions for Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, so maybe we'll get that for Kingdom Hearts 3 at some point as DLC, so that is something to look for down the line. But overall, is Kingdom Hearts 3 a perfect game? No, it's not. But is it a damn good game? Yeah, it is. I have my criticisms, of course. But oh my god, it is such a good game nevertheless, and I would recommend that if you've played Kingdom Hearts, play this game, because it is worth it, and it is good, and I think it is genuinely a good game. Like, people who say it's a really bad game, I think either just don't really get it, or just don't understand it that much. I think the only real issue, like, big few issues that I could say that really annoyed me were there were a few filler missions in some of the levels, like the Frozen World, you had to, let's search for Olaf's parts, and it's like, I don't want to do this, or let's escape this massive ice maze. Yeah, I don't really want to do this, or the Pirates of the Caribbean world, where it's like, find 300 crabs! And I'm like, I don't want to find crabs, please stop making me find crabs. Like, there are a lot of kind of, like, busy work objectives where it's like, they clearly couldn't think of anything to do, so they just kind of, like, said, collect this many items and have fun. And that was a bit eh. And the camera is good for the most part, but there are some abilities where the camera just doesn't work. Like, for example, the final form of the Hercules Keyblade, where you summon, like, the Pegasus chariot. The camera does not know what to do when that is summoned, and it just becomes a mess. It becomes a fucking mess, and I just... Nor. It's not fun. And I feel like there are just a few, like, moves that could be, tweaked to just work a bit better, or maybe just be a bit more fun to use. But overall, it's a great Kingdom Hearts game, and I would recommend it. So, for those of you who actually listened to all of this, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget to check out my previous videos if you haven't already, and I will see you guys again next time. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.